Hello, good evening. I'm just finalizing a few things, getting ready to start the stream. But here's what we'll be doing today. It's the all-time great rookie seasons sim. We've got a final roster. We're gonna put the text document together to make quick importing a possibility. It'll be good for when we actually do the stream, but also if we want to repeat it, we'll always have it handy. And so in OOTP, one of the things that we've been working with is when you import a roster into a given season, you can do it one at a time using the player ID numbers, but it's easier if you can put all the numbers together and on into a text document and then feed that into the game, and it'll just pull all the players that you've identified into the game. It's super convenient. You can do it offline, so it makes simulations like these really easy. So what we're going to do is we'll put that text document together, feed it into the game engine, which will give us our roster of all-time great rookie season players, and then do a few test sims. So I think there are going to be a few issues with the roster that I want to work out before doing the full-on sim. And I thought tonight would be a good day to do it because there's no one raiding into us. It's a Saturday. Wait, was it Saturday? It's a Sunday night. I don't think many people are gonna be around, so it's a good time to make some mistakes. All right, so here is the roster we built with a lot of help from the community via chat. Really appreciate all the input. Um, I got a lot of great players that I probably wouldn't have thought of otherwise. And B, it was a lot more fun and interesting doing it with some company instead of in isolation. So let's see, where is that page? Here it is. Might be a little hard to see. Um, I can do a little bit of a zoom too, maybe, but I'll also kind of read the names. Part of what I want to do is put this list together in this format, so I can move people in and out of it to get to the final 26. Um, Make sure we had all the positions filled and enough pitchers. And these middle columns here, the player ID and the year, are really important because that's what I copied and pasted into the text document to build the player list that will feed into the game. And so what that looks like is this. So OOTP is going to look for player ID, which is unique to each player, comma, the year from that player's career that you want to bring into this particular season. And then if you stop here, it'll just bring these players into the free agent pool. But we know we want to bring them into our roster, so I'm going to be adding another comma delimited field, which will be the three-letter initial for the team. And in the last stream, the Nolan Network podcast had a great suggestion because I was asking, look, which team do we replace? Because I don't want to add a team because that disrupts the structure of the league. It causes the game to create a new season. Also, we'll then have an unbalanced number of teams, so not every team might not get 162 games. So to avoid that, I just wanted to do a takeover of a team, but I was trying to figure out which team. Um, and I thought the suggestion of taking over the Oakland Athletics was great because they're trying to get out of Oakland anyway. So we're just going to take them completely out of the game and replace them with our time traveling team. So this will either be 1933, OAK. But I think if we're going to replace them anyway, I'm just going to rename them Franchise Time Machine Team. So this might end up being FTM. So, but that's another thing I wanted to test tonight is how much can I change in the game for the team without breaking it. And in this case, breaking it would mean causing the schedule to change. I also don't want it to be too time consuming because if I'm going to be doing this in the stream for future experiments, I don't want it to take too long because it's just kind of tedious doing it, and I'm sure it's tedious watching it. So this is the day we'll be testing all that stuff out. So again, here's the roster. I created a Discord and posted this in the Discord. So eventually, maybe it's the next time we have a raid in from Denny, and some of our semi regulars are in. I'll invite them to the Discord. They all seem very interested and helpful in tweaking the roster. So this way I can kind of share it with them. They can comment in the Discord. I can make changes between streams and maybe save everybody some time. So it was really fun doing this part. This has always been my favorite part. I mean, one of the reasons I really liked OOTP when I first started playing over a decade ago is it let me do the things I couldn't do in Stratomatic, which was I was always tinkering with different kind of all-time favorite rosters or all-time uh, kind of thematic rosters, like greatest switch hitters and things like that. And there's really nothing I could do with the Stratomatic because other than the cards for the seasons you've been playing, you don't really have any other players. But with OOTP, once I realized how you can manipulate players from across time and bring them together, um, I've been doing this, like creating wacky rosters or rosters of my favorite players, things like that, and just like seeing how they do in different seasons. So the roster building is always one of my favorite things. And I started with just players I knew had great rookie seasons, but then of course you get a bias towards um, late 20th century, early 21st century players, players who are playing while I've been watching baseball, and then players that I would have heard of, and then a pretty strong bias towards seasons that happened since the Rookie of the Year award was created in 1947, just because that's an easy way to find most of the best rookies in baseball. Um, Granted, every once in a while, I think there are some misses, and so some great rookie seasons might not have won the Rookie of the Year. And there are a bunch of seasons before 1947 where there were great performances that we still had to kind of hunt for. And that's where it was great how enthusiastic folks were in the chat and helping me, you know, dig through those seasons and find out, who do you want to add. So and then the other method was who are the great players and going back and seeing how good their rookie seasons were. And this is where something fun came out of this is while I'm excited to run this all-time great rookies roster through some seasons, we all started realizing there are a lot of players who had maybe not terrible rookie seasons, but not great rookie seasons, but had amazing sophomore seasons. So instead of a sophomore slump, I think we're gonna do maybe even the next thing will be an all-time great sophomore studs roster where it's the best second seasons of all time. Um, and if there are maybe too many, I think one way to streamline that list might be to only take players who had great second seasons after average to poor first seasons to kind of highlight more. And I think that actually might end up being a better team because I think, second year players, I would assume would have generally better performance than first year players. So it'll be interesting. Like maybe we can even do like a best of nine series between the all time great rookies team and the all time great sophomore studs team. So try to get a good mix of years, teams. Wanted to make sure that um, the Negro League players were represented, um, and tried to minimize some of that bias towards players who've been around while I've been watching baseball. And I think we've largely been successful. I do think there's like a pretty big gap in the 30s through 60s era where I think we did manage to find some like the real obvious great rookie seasons, but I'm sure there are a ton that we missed. So, the great thing is we can always redo the Sims. So I think this is a topic I'm going to keep kind of researching from time to time. And as like other players come to mind, I my habit is to look them up in baseball reference, just to get a better sense of their careers. And always now I'm going to always make sure I look at their rookie and second seasons to see like are these players want to pull into these into these rosters. Oh, so yeah, speaking of that sophomore studs list, here are some of the names that we came across um, while looking for rookie seasons. These are some of the sophomore seasons that showed up that we thought are worth including. Um, I remember Vita Blue in particular, amazing second season. But all of these, I think, had something interesting to offer. There's even Mordecai Brown's in there, who had a great card in Perfect Team 24. Um, and you'll probably notice some of these seasons we discovered because we're like, okay, well, who are the best players? Let's go see what their first and second seasons were like. And so that's where we, found folks like Joe DiMaggio and Stan Musial had amazing second seasons, not so much first seasons. Ted Williams is one. Ted Williams is on the rookie team. He also had an amazing sophomore season. Not surprising considering he's at least I think the best hitter in the history of baseball. I think the rule will be each player can only be on one list, so I think he'll probably be out for the sophomore studs team. Shoeless Joe Jackson was interesting. He so I'm going very strictly by the baseball reference year that the rookie requirements were met, and so that caused a few interesting ripples. Um, so Jackie Robinson, for example, he won the Rookie of the Year in 1947, but he had actually met his rookie requirements in 1945 with the Kansas City Monarchs in a much shorter season. His statistics were still so good, though, that he did make our rookie team. But I thought from a historic standpoint, it would have been great for that season to have been his Dodger season, which reflects, that he performed at that high level despite all the things going on around him um, as he broke the color barrier. But since we're going strictly by this rule, we ended up using his Kansas City Monarch season. Fortunately, it was so good, he still would have qualified. But I'm a little bummed out that we missed that kind of historic season. And then Shoeless Joe Jackson was interesting. He played parts of seasons in 1909 and 1910, and so he qualified in 1910. And his season stats were good, but it was a smaller sample size, and his 1911 season was outstanding. And so I thought, okay, let's not use him in the rookie squad and save him for the second season team. And these are all things I had no idea. I mean, these are all players that we know, but every time one of them came up, I just like, yeah, I have no idea what their rookie season looked like. Um, and so, yeah, to me, this list is as fun, if not more so, than the list for our all rookie roster. Now, granted, I haven't done as much full research yet on the sophomore seasons, so there's probably still a lot more change to come. But already, there's a lot of fun names on there that I'm looking forward to. So, so this sheet, I wanted to capture the kind of final roster, the information that I need for the text file to bring them into the game easily. But I also wanted to capture a few other things like um, how old they were in their rookie year, the the kind of top level stats, and then in which stats were they the league leader, just to kind of give a little bit of a fuller picture of why that player made the team. Um, Josh Gibson has been top of mind because as Major League Baseball has integrated the Negro League stats, I'm sure you've seen on the news. He's now jumped up in terms of being the leader of a bunch of statistical categories. And so, but it was still a pleasant surprise to see how strong his rookie season was. You look at his slash line of 395, 442, 744, which is an OPS of 1186. Hey, that's good at any point in anyone's career in any era. And add to that, he led the league in hits, triples, home runs, RBI, on base percentage, slugging, OPS plus, total bases. This is a rookie season for the ages, and um, it was fitting that as the catcher, he's in the first roster spot, and it was a good fun way to get started. Previously, when I was just kind of starting from memory, I was working from current day backwards, so it was fun to see this season kind of very easily bump its way into the starting lineup. For first base, there are a lot of great seasons at first base. So this is another thing that was an issue. There are some positions where there are tons of good seasons to pick from, and some positions, notably second base, where there are very few. In first base, there were so many. I just used my Mets fandom bias and went with Pete Alonso. I mean, I think it's a defensible season. He led the league in home runs. It was the highest rookie home run mark. Um, so I was okay with that, but I'm sure this is one where you know there will be plenty of people who will bring up other seasons that are worthy, and I'm open to changing it in the future too. But for this first one, I wanted to. I didn't mind being a Mets fan and putting Pete Alonso in here. Uh, Again, I mentioned second base was a weak spot, so mostly by just going back through great players and great second basemen and seeing what their rookie seasons were like. Rogers Hornsby rose to the top. Prior to that, chat had suggested Dustin Pedroia, and his season was the strongest we could find for a while. And then I found from at least from a slash line perspective, and home run rate. So this player had about a half season. So if you scaled everything up by doubling it, he would have had about 38 home runs. Keston Hura had a really great statistical first season, but the trouble with that was, you know, based on his cards in the game, we all know his defense is not great, and so I actually thought it might be interesting to play him for a season and see how he performs in this team of other great rookies and how much impact his defense does or doesn't have. Um, but ultimately, I think Rogers Hornsby in his rookie season, 313, 369, 444 slash line, 814 OPS, um, I think is a solid choice. But again, this is one where I'm hoping if people watch the VOD, or more people come come across the Discord or come across our channel, that maybe we can find a better second baseman rookie season. Um, Dick Allen felt like a no-brainer, but I did look at other third baseman seasons, and this still kind of survived all the A/B testing. 939 OPS, led the league in runs, triples, and total bases. And I think he'll just be a fun player to have on the team. Um, and then Jackie Robinson, this is where, so in his major league season, a rookie season, he only played first base. So he was a must start for me anyway for this team. But I think starting him at first base it'd be historically accurate, but then it would have prevented a lot of other great rookie seasons from being considered. So I think it actually worked out well that, according to Baseball Reference, he hit his rookie limits with the Kansas City Monarchs. It's a much shorter season, and so his stats are, it's a small numbers effect, but he still led the league in doubles and home runs and had a really impressive 375, 449, 600 slash line with a 1049 OPS. And he played shortstop the whole season. So we got to move him from first to short. Um, it caused us to have to bump a few shortstops that we had been considering, but I didn't mind that given who we're talking about. And so Jackie Robinson's going to start at short for us. Um, and then the outfield spots, a few interesting things. I always think of Ted Williams as a left fielder. I didn't realize in his rookie season he played right field exclusively. And mentioned earlier, his rookie and sophomore, and frankly, almost all of his seasons are amazing. So he's actually going to be our starting right fielder. And it came down to Fred Lynn and Mike Trout in center field. Given their lefty righty, I think we're probably going to end up platooning them if the stats support that. But for right now, I have Fred Lynn penciled in as a starter. Um, it could easily have gone to Trout. Trout had the better, I think, power speed combo. Um, but I think Fred Lynn had slightly better slash line. Um, the other reason I was considering putting Trout in there to start is to break up the Red Sox center field, right field, and have another team represented. But I think statistically, I had to give the nod to Fred Lynn for now. And then in left field, because Ted Williams is going to be in right, and the statistical issue with Shoeless Joe Jackson and really his sophomore, the season that I thought was his rookie season actually being his sophomore season, we didn't have a left fielder. So Albert Pujols was on the definitely make list, so he was going to be on the team anyway. And while he played more games at third base and first base, he played actually more total games in the outfield than either of those positions. So he played 39 games in left and 39 games in right. And when you add those up to the 78 outfield games, that's more than he played at first or third. So I felt okay putting him at left field. But I did list him as an infield slash outfielder for one important reason. A lot of these players only played one position in their rookie season. And so if we're going to sim a whole season, I think fatigue is going to becoming a big problem because we just don't have enough players who played multiple positions where they can back up other players. And I did look for some utility players to see if any utility players had great rookie seasons, but I think this is the kind of thing where just like in the Major League Baseball draft, you don't have a lot of second basemen because that's a position people end up moving to, and most of them come up as like more of a premier position like shortstop. Um, so I think because of that, we just didn't have a lot of utility players because I mean, all these players are so good. They're just the kind of entrenched. They quickly become the entrenched starter in a position, and they're not asked to move around a ton. So I will have one of the things I'm going to be testing for is that. And if it's a problem, I have a couple of approaches that I want to test out. One of them being, and this is where I'll be curious to pick Paul Spore's brain on this because he has to do this with the cards he releases for Perfect Team, where especially like the peak cards, like what positions do you give them? What rating do you give them at those positions? Especially like if in a given season they didn't actually play that position much. Well, in these cases, they didn't play that position at all. But like using, um, let's say Jackie Robinson as an example, I always think of him as a second baseman. But in his first major league season, he only played first base. In his rookie season with the Kansas City Monarchs, he only played shortstop. And so it seems silly to think if Jackie Robinson's on the roster of our team, he couldn't go out and play second base. But if we're going to be statistically rigorous, then he shouldn't play second base or shouldn't play it well because he didn't play it in that season. So I'm more kind of aligned with like, we know he can play second base. He eventually plays second base, so let's let him play second base. Um, I'll demonstrate this more in the game, but like in the game, well, actually, why don't I pull it up right now? In the game, hold on a second. Let me pull up the. I'm pulling up the season where we started to bring in the rookie squad. So in the game, I don't know if this is common knowledge. It is to me just because like this is how I played OOTP for over a decade. But it might not be for other people. So I got to find a player. So let's just go to the free agent pool and find a player. I have already deleted out all the Oakland Athletics, which is why I can't find a player on our team because we don't have a roster right now. And going the free agent pool is fine because this is where we need to go to create or to import our players anyway. Okay, there are no free agents right now. I guess because we're in the preseason. So how about the trade block? Let's go to the trade block. All right, no one's in the trade block, so let me go find another team. I didn't think this would be so difficult to find a player. Oh wait, do we have a minor leagues? Maybe I can just look in our minor leagues. We don't have minor leagues. That's weird. I would have thought 2023 Run Environment would have minors. Oh, I unchecked minors when I created the season. Duh. Okay. Let's just look at the Diamondbacks. Okay. So if you look at any player, let's look at who's someone fun to look at. How about Christian Walker? We'll look at Christian Walker. Oh, sorry, I'm not even showing this. There we go. If you look at Christian Walker, and you go into editor, yeah, maybe people will find this interesting because I don't know that it's common knowledge. So in edit, if you're not in what's that mode where you get points and can win packs and stuff? If you're not in that mode and you play as commissioner mode, you can go into editor and basically like see behind the scenes of all the cards. And so you see all the attributes that make them perform the way they do. So here's the bio section. This has like how prone they are to injury. And then oh, I guess they moved their attributes to different. It must be. They used to also have their personality ratings here too, but that must have moved to another spot. But the more important numbers are here: batting ratings and the pitching ratings. So the batting ratings, these are the numbers that make up their performance in the game. It used to go to 250. This is that big change you may have heard people talk about, like going from 250 to 550. Mathematically, it seems like it might be difficult, but really, like to go to 250 from 250 to 550, you just double it and then add 10%. And adding 10% is easy. You just drop the last digit. And so it's still taking me some getting used to, but like that math helps it um, do it a little easier. So for batting in particular, you have VL and VR, so how they perform versus left-handed pitching and how they perform versus right-handed pitching. And these are their current attributes. And then the next column over is potential. And what I'm saying is like this is basically like what their peak season would look like. I don't know if it's attribute by attribute or peak season total, but this is kind of like what they would be at their best, at their career best. Um, Initially when I started playing and using editor mode, I was a little confused that they had actual numbers that exceed the potential because you would think, well, if your potential is as good as you can get, then theoretically you should never be above that number. Um, but especially when you play with the variability of development high, I guess that reflects some of the times where like your actual performance can jump ahead of your potential. Um, and then this is helpful too when I'm like creating players or adjusting players. It'll give you based on the actual, so the VL and VR numbers, what that translates to in a modern day environment, modern major league environment. So, given these attributes, what would that look like in a stat line? So this is really helpful. It helps you like kind of tweak those numbers until you get them where you want them to. Now I completely lost track of why I wanted to go into editor. What was I talking about? um, let's see. Okay, so something about the rookie seasons. Oh, right, they're fielding. All right, sorry about that. Their fielding, the way fielding works is it's not as I don't know if transparent is the right word, but it's not as clear as like these batting stat attributes are. So with fielding, you have for infielders, you have range, error, arm, which are familiar to you if you played Perfect Team, also from the scouting reports. And for outfield, you have range, error, and arm. And then for infielders, you also have turn double plays, and then you have your catching attributes, which framing is kind of newly transparent now to us. So if you're an infielder, for example, those four numbers kind of make up how good you are at your position. But the way the game engine works is it then applies an experience number, which I guess basically is like how often do you play that position, and then applies that experience number to those attributes. So if you're an infielder, for example, Christian Walker's a first baseman, 200 is the maximum experience, applies that 200 to these attributes of range 59, error 156, infield arm 90, turn double play is 56, into a first base rating of 120. What that ends up doing, though, is here, I'll just show you. If we turn his second base experience to 200, right, it gives him a rating of 54. And part of that is his turn double plays is low, his range is low. But given the same attributes, if you make his shortstop experience 200 and his third base experience 200, right, you see that it gives you, well, I'm actually surprised the shortstop number is so low. I wonder if I broke it somehow. But um, with any fielders, if you do this, if you make all their experiences equal, what you'll see is their first base rating will always be the highest. Their shortstop rating will always be the lowest. And I think what's factoring is like the relative difficulty of those positions, which is, I think, is fine. It's a good simplifying assumption for a game like this, but it, it, it doesn't take into account that, like, just because you're so the game would then assume if you're great at shortstop and then you play as many games at second base, you'll be even greater at second base defense. The same goes for outfield. Here, I'll show you if you do outfield. His attributes are terrible in outfield, so I don't know. It might not be visible, so I'll have to change stuff up there too. So it's all going to one because these attributes are so bad. So let's give him range 100, error 100, and arm 100. Okay, so now you have some like reasonable defensive numbers. Those attributes stay the same regardless of what outfield position you're playing. And now I'm saying, okay, he's equally experienced in left, center, and right. Well, his center field rating is less than a third of his left field rating because I think it's applying an assumption that center field is harder to play. Again, fine as a simplifying assumption. I don't think it necessarily is true in real life that just because um, I'm a really good center fielder, I'm going to be a even way better left fielder because the position is easier. But that's the assumption that's behind these attributes. I wonder what's going to happen if I because I don't want to save. I don't want to save these changes. I don't want Christian Walker to be altered at all. I would like to, not that I don't mind boosting him, but I don't want him to be different from what he is in real in the game. So I'm hoping those numbers don't save. Okay. Well, this is a test run anyway, so I'm gonna do a clean season start for the sim. So we'll just leave Christian Walker. Christian Walker is now a suddenly improved outfielder, in addition to playing first base. These are easy enough. I can just take them back to. Oh, actually, if I just take them back to zero, I think it'll be fine. Okay. All right. So defense works. So for someone like Jackie Robinson, what I could do is presumably in his rookie season with the Monarchs, where he played shortstop, his experience at shortstop is probably something like somewhere between 150 and 200, and that will give whatever you know boost to his infield ratings to give him his final shortstop rating. So I can go in and add him as second base. The question then is, I mean, the first question is, do we add second base? If we do, then the question is, okay, what experience level do I give him? And so what I was thinking was, if it's legit to add the position because the player plays that position in like an approximate year or sometime in his career, I think it's fair to at least throw a 150 in there. And then what I was thinking was, if that player then also wins a Gold Glove at that position at some point in their career, I don't mind taking it to 200 because clearly they have the potential, even as a rookie, to like play that position. So, it is a rookie, so maybe not 200, but like 185 or 190. I'm okay with that too, especially if they're a future Gold Glover at that position. Anyway, if we don't do that, I think this team is actually going to lose a bunch of games due to fatigue. Because if you look at the roster, which I'll pull up again, um, right, you don't have a lot of depth because everyone's so good that they really only played, you know, one position. Albert Pujols is the exception on this roster, where he played over 30 games at four different positions. Um, and so, we have two catchers, so that's not going to be a problem. But everywhere else, I think, like who's going to play second base when Rogers Hornsby needs a rest? None of these other players played second base that year, in their rookie years. But you can't tell me that if Jackie can play shortstop and later in his career plays excellent second base, he couldn't have played second base in this rookie year well. Or even just to stand there to give Rogers Hornsby a day off. So I think we're gonna have to solve for that. But in the first sim, I'm not gonna do it, and we'll just see. Like, do we have a bunch of games we lose because people are tired? Um, so then Fredland, so then we get into the reserves. Um, Rudy York had an amazing season as a catcher. Um, I think 30 plus home runs, 1026 OPS. For me, once I discovered his rookie season, he was a no brainer. But his was hard to find because again, he's pre rookie of the year. Um, and then infielder, I have no problem selecting Nomar. He had a great slash line his rookie year, and as a Georgia Tech alum, like again, I took Alonso because he's a Met. I have no problem taking Nomar because he went to Tech because the stats support it. There are probably other seasons that are just as good or maybe better. I'm open to changing it down the line, but for now, I like having him on the roster because I watched him play in person in college a bunch. Um, and if you're not familiar, Nomar Garcia Parra, Jason Veritek, and Jay Payton were all on the Georgia Tech baseball team at the same time, and we got to go watch them play for free. It was awesome. Ryan Braun had a great rookie season. 324, 370, 634 slash line. The 634 led the league. So I have, and he's a He's a PED guy, so maybe people don't want him in here. I'm fine with replacing him down the road, but that slash line to me got him a spot in this initial roster. Talked about Mike Trout again, like the editor I just showed. I'm gonna go in that editor and see like does a platoon with Fred Lynn make sense? If it does, I think that's great. We'll have righty lefty Trout Lynn in center field. Ichiro I wanted on the team no matter what. He's Japanese. I'm Japanese. The Mariners became my American League fan when I moved to Seattle. I felt like there was no conflict with being a Mets fan and a Mariners fan. In fact, there's some synergy because both teams are kind of historically terrible. Um, so yeah, he was going to be on this team no matter what. And frankly, 350 average, leading the league in hits and stolen bases and batting average his rookie season, easy to defend. And then Aaron Judge, huge home run season, 1049 OPS. And I didn't mind having some lower batting averages with some of these guys like Alonso, Judge, just because they brought so much power, and I think it's easy to defend their selections. And then, and I think of the batters, I think the last cut was Frank Robinson. He had a great rookie season with Cincinnati where he hit 38 home runs. So then Otani is an interesting transition player on the roster because um, he'll be batting and pitching, so he's going to be a two-way player. So I put him as first in the roster of the pitching staff, last in the roster of the hitters. Um, his pitching stats, definitely small sample size, but combined with the hitting stats, definitely easy to defend his selection. I was initially worried because when I was looking at them in isolation, I'm like, yeah, the hitting's good, but it's not like historically good as a rookie, as a batter. The pitching's such a small sample size, but 11 strikeouts per nine, that's pretty impressive. But when you put it together, I mean, when you have a unicorn like that, you got to put a unicorn on the roster. So he made the team. Um, Dwight Gooden again. There's some Mets bias there, but I think you can't argue with as a rookie leading the league in strikeouts, FIP, WHIP, hits per nine, home runs per nine, strikeouts per nine. Um, and frankly, anyone who was watching baseball in 1984, same thing with Fernando Valenzuela. Like if you were watching baseball in '81, I don't see how you can argue, including them on this team. So Gooden, Valenzuela, in between them on the rosters, he's Satchel Paige. Um, Again, the Negro League seasons were shorter, but 7-2, 2.39 ERA, 10.82 WHIP, did qualify as a rookie that year, and led the league in hits per nine, strikeouts per nine, strikeout to walk ratio. To me, that's a qualifying season. Um, Mark Fidrich, he was someone I definitely wanted to include. So Fidrich and Jose Fernandez, both of them, I mean, for different reasons, their careers were cut short. And so I wanted the chance to kind of bring their careers back to life in the simulation and just see them pitch again. Um, so Fidrich just basically blew his arm out. I think he led the league in complete games. I think he was like 23 complete games that year. And so, he was never the same after that season. But I mean, what a season, 19-9. 10, 1079 whip, led the league in ERA, complete games, and ERA plus. And he's a little before my time, but everything I've seen, clips I've seen, like what a fun dude to watch pitch. So I wanted that on the team. Nomo, same as Gooden, Fernando. Nomo's one of those players where if you were around when he was making his debut, like you couldn't avoid the spectacle of what it was like when he was pitching. And he backed it up with the stats. 13-6, 2.54 ERA, 10.56 whip, led the league in strikeouts, hits per nine, strikeouts per nine. Led the league in wild pitches too, but still the rest of the stat line supports it. And frankly, that kind of twisty hurricane delivery, like it was just such a thing. I think he had to be on the squad. Um, And then let me skip Chrissy Masters, but Jose Fernandez. It's not just sentiment. He's not just on here because his life was cut tragically short, but his rookie season, incredible. His hits per he led the league in hits per nine. I think it was like 5.8. I mean, you gotta have a guy like that on the team. 0.979 WHIP, mostly driven by that low hits per nine. Statistically, this is a frankly. I just wanted to, bring him back to pitch again. Chrissy Mathewson, this was a result of, with chat digging back through, some of the biggest names in baseball, like what were their rookie seasons like. And of that kind of, from that exercise, I think Christy Mathewson was the leader of that 20 and 17, 2.41 ERA, 11.46 whip. Interesting, he didn't lead the league in anything except wild pitches, but, that's fine. We'll take him. And then, we weren't talking lefty righty when we were pulling the roster together. So I think maybe as a result of that, we only have three left-handed pitchers. From a roster build that didn't pay attention to that. I think if we do this again, we might have to bump some of the righties to make room for a couple more lefties. But Dave Righetti, I think easily makes it in his 1981 rookie season. Again, there's a little bit of bias because I was growing up there, and so I was exposed to a lot of the New York press. But 8-4, almost a sub 2 ERA, 205, 1073 whip, led the league in ERA plus, FIP, hits per nine, home runs per nine, strikeouts per nine. I mean, to me, that's a stat line that it's easy to make a case for putting on this team. Russ Ford was suggested by the chat, and when I looked up the stats, like this is a no-brainer. 26 and 6, 1.65 ERA, 0.881 whip, and led the league in hits per nine. So, and brings a little bit of like chronological diversity because his rookie year was 1910. And then swinging back to modern day, Devin Williams, a absolutely sick 2020 season. I mean, I had to double check both of these numbers. So I thought I must have been looking at the wrong column. 4-1, 0.33 ERA, 0.630 WHIP. Not a league leader name because as a reliever, he didn't have enough innings to qualify. But I mean, those minuscule numbers are incredible. So he's a definite. And he's I think maybe the only reliever, like true reliever on the roster. Part of that is I made the decision early on, kind of like when we play Perfect Team. You just pick the best pitchers, and if they're starters, some of them are going to be in the pen. And so that's what's going to happen here. Some of these folks are going to go into the bullpen. I think what's going to drive that decision is, and I want to confirm some of this with maybe some folks in OTP, like maybe Spore will comment on it if we ask him. But so my understanding is when you move from start to the bullpen, you the simulation engine only uses like your top 2 or 3 pitches, and so what I've been led to believe, and I just want to confirm that this is true, is if you have 1 or 2 pitches that are clearly better than the others, you'll make an easier transition into the bullpen in OTP. But what I don't know, and I want to find out more about, is your stuff rating. So if you go back into the editor mode, one of the, let me pull. So we've got Christian Walker, so I've got to find a pitcher. But one of the interesting things in editor mode is for pitchers, for batters, you can change all those attributes. Like, well, like your gap power, avoid Ks, BABIP, right? You can't adjust contact because contact is a calculation based on avoid Ks and BABIP. Like, do you hit the ball? And then when you hit the ball, what happens? But then you keep going down the list. You can adjust your gap power, your power. So gap is like your extra base power. Power is your home run power. And then your I/patience. And I wonder if that's one that might be disaggregated in the future. Like, are we going to find out later that there's a separate I rating and then a separate patience rating? I don't know. But yeah, so like, those can all be edited. but then contact cannot because it's a calculation. Um, but if you go to pitchers, it's a little different. So let's find a pitcher on the roster that we can take a look at. How about Zach Gallen? He's a fun pitcher. Okay, so if you go into his editor and pitching ratings, right, what you can change are things like stamina, hold runners, velocity, arm slot, and then the pitch rating. So this is how well you throw each pitch. And then your right left split, and then your movement and control. Now we know in movement from Perfect Team that movement is actually made up of P BABIP, so pitcher BABIP, batting average on balls in play, and home run suppression. Um, but we don't have that disaggregation in here, so it's somewhere underneath, right? But I can't edit the home run suppression. I can edit movement. And then you'll notice what's missing is stuff, right? Right, because it's like well, when I say missing, I mean missing from the list of fields you can enter numbers in. All these gray capsules. Stuff is not like that. My understanding is stuff is a calculation by across how many different pitches, the variety of pitches you have, and how well you throw them. So if you change the ratings on these, your stuff will increase or decrease. If you add pitches, your stuff will increase. If you take away pitches, your stuff will decrease. But what's not clear to me is if you're going to take this like take a pitcher into the bullpen, let's say they have five mediocre pitches, right? But the stuff since the stuff calculation takes into account like my understanding is more pitches means you can keep batters off balance, so you're more effective against them. So your stuff is effectively higher. Well, if you're relying on the variety of pitches to drive your stuff, then if you only can throw two or three out of the bullpen, does your stuff then go way down? Versus the profile of if someone has two great pitches and three mediocre pitches, then if you take away the other three, like, maybe it doesn't matter. And then I keep hearing people talk about like you get a boost on some of your pitches when you use the bullpen. Again, all this is anecdotal. I don't have data support. I haven't run simulations to support it, but I want to try to understand it because um, not so much in this sim, but there are other types of simulations I do. So let me pull that up. I've got a list of like how I play the game, right? And a couple of these I do go in and change the attributes as part of the experiment. Um, so like in Mad Scientist mode, one of the games I play is raise the floor, raise the ceiling. So for each player, you can either add 100 points. Well, in the new game, I guess I'd be adding 220 points to either their worst attribute or their best attribute. So if they're like a good home run hitter, you can make them like a home run god. Or if they're a good home run hitter but they strike out a ton, you can then raise or avoid strikeouts. So then they become a home run hitter who doesn't strike out. Um, so it's kind of fun because like it's not quite always easily apparent like where do you want to put that 100 or 220. Do you want to add it to their best attribute or do you want to shore up some weaknesses? um but in that one like I, you know it seems like it'd be wasted to just add 220 to one pitch. um so you probably add it to movement or control. So taking like a Bobby Witt senior. I mean, he wasn't senior at the time, but like Bobby Witt from the 80s, flamethrower pitcher, had no control. If you added 220 points to his control, I'm sure he'd be a stud. And so, that'd be fun to do, but maybe you do want to add it to a pitch for, like what if Greg Maddux had an insane fastball? But I wouldn't necessarily want to do that if I couldn't understand like how is then that going to cascade through to affect stuff, uh, especially like if I take that pitcher then and move them from starter to bullpen. So anyway, that the pitching racing was a kind of a tangent, but the important thing here was within their fielding ratings. How is that going to work? Because I do think we're going to have to give some of these players the latitude to play multiple positions that they didn't play in their rookie seasons. So, okay, so back to the list. So the last pitcher was Bill Foster. Um, I think one of the great things about OTP and Perfect Team in particular is everyone in chat was much more savvy about Negro League pitchers and pitchers from like dead ball era because we play the game, right? So um, a lot of these names are familiar to us because they've had great cards in the game, and so Bill Foster, fits that description. And this was from a list that D Block don't cut the D Block Dragon, who is an affiliate streamer, has a great early morning stream you should check out and follow. He focuses on lower level iron and bronze cards, perfect team tournaments. Hey, Nolan Network. So, yeah, what have I got cooking today? So, the roster is finalized, and I'm gonna start importing it into the game and testing it out. I think a couple of the concerns I have are because most of these players only played one position in their rookie year. Their data profile in the game is going to reflect that. So I think we're going to have a problem with fatigue during a season sim. And we don't have very many left-handed pitchers. So the position thing, though, I think I'm going to run it. If it turns out to be a problem, I've got a few approaches for adjusting for that. But yeah, it was just going through a walk through the roster. Just got to Bill Foster at the bottom of the list. 7-1, 2.16 ERA, 10.65. Um, WHIP led the league in win percentage, ERA plus, FIP, WHIP, hits per nine, home runs per nine, and strikeouts per nine. And so that's the Nolan Network podcast in the chat. Thanks for showing up again tonight. And he is one of the people who contribute a lot of ideas, names, stats, and thoughts to putting this roster together. So I really appreciate it. I think it's a way better roster as a result. And also the suggestion that we take over the Oakland Athletics to do this. So I think that was great. And that's exactly what we're going to do. So took this, turned it into um this is the wrong notepad. So let me switch over to the right notepad. Turned it into this text document, which is what we'll be feeding into the game. But first, I need to make sure I know what three-letter team abbreviation to put at the end of each of those lines so that it ends up on the right team. So this is the new game we created. Let's go to the league structure. Or let's just go back to, we're running the athletics. And go back to the game structure. So within game settings, you can go to league settings and then edit league structure. So you'll see, if you wanted to, you could, instead of divisions, you can go back to the old school way of you just have AL and NL, and the top team in each league wins the pennant and goes to the World Series. You can do stuff like that. But what I wanted to do was go into Oakland and see. So I can change the team name and abbreviation without breaking the structure. Because if you break the structure in any way, even if you put it back together, it will force a new schedule creation, and I don't want to do that. I'll leave it as the Oakland Athletics if you have to. But what I was hoping to do is change this to franchise time machine. And instead of Oakland will be Franchise Time Machine FTM. Well, let's see if it takes that. And then some of these things in OTP, unless you hit enter, they don't actually go through. I know that's the case with player names and manager names. If you just type it in and tab through to the next field, you'll come back and you'll see that like your player name has not changed. Um, so I did that, but this still says Oakland. So I'm wondering, it looks like the change did not go through. So maybe I need to go to team settings and change it in here. Oh no, look, it did change it in here. Oh, you know what? I think maybe I just need a new logo. So let's go to modify team colors, logos, and textures. Oh, sorry, I'm not showing the game. I'm telling you all this stuff and I'm not showing the game. So let me back out of this. So here's how I changed it. I went to game settings, league settings, and then one of the choices in league settings is edit league structure. And that's where I typed in I found Oakland, which is the team we're going to replace. Yeah, sorry, Gumbercules. It was not your stream. It was user error by a newbie streamer. So I apologize. So I changed this to Franchise Time Machine, and our abbreviation is FTM for Franchise Time Machine. So when I did that, it did flow through to the team page in terms of the name, but the A's logo is still there because I need to go to team settings and modify team colors, logos, and textures. And then select. Oh, so yeah, so you have game files on your computer that it pulls from. And so um, within the logos folder, there's a nicknames folder that. So when I play Perfect Team, I always put logos into this folder that then I can access from Perfect Team and upload my own logos. So in like tournament trees, on my custom logos show up. So here's Franchise Time Machine. Okay, so that's our logo now, and you see it appears on the hat too. So now if I hit OK and I go back, okay, yeah, see the A's logo has now been replaced. Awesome. And so now that I know this works, in the text file, I just have to make sure all of these end with comma FTM. So that way, instead of ending up in the free agent pool, they'll end up on our roster. So I'm just going to do it one time and just copy and paste a bunch of times. So I did most of this tedious stuff offline. This is the one thing I hope you'll just bear with me while I copy this 25 times. Yeah, so Gumbercules, we've, with a lot of help from the chat, we've finalized the roster for this all-time great rookie season team and list into the game. And we will pull all these players from all these different years into our roster, which is, to me, that is super fun. I always love doing that. So let me just save this. So this will be our ATG is all-time greats, which is the kind of game within the game that we're playing, and this will be rookie all-time great rookies. Okay, so now that I've saved that, when we go back into the game, we can now go into the free agent pool. The free agent screen is where you do all importing or creating of players. So you'll if you're doing fun little experiments like this, you'll be on that screen a lot. And then under actions, oh here, I made a cheat sheet on how to do this. So Let me pull that up for a second. How to import. So you prepare the destination, which we just did, right? We renamed it to what we wanted to. Um, we since we changed the three-letter abbreviation, we can't use OAK. We need to use FTM. Then you go to the free agent page under Actions, Import Historical Players. Select the database, which is historical database.odb, and then you can either go one by one, add the player IDs and the years, or what we're going to do is upload that text file, which has all the players' IDs and years. And so, everyone in the chat, I apologize if you know this already, but I'm assuming some people might watch the VOD or the stream and not know how to do this. And the reason I'm even streaming is someone told me it was an easy way to create videos that I can easily import into YouTube. And my ultimate goal is to just like have these sims on YouTube. Um, I'm not going to be an affiliate or anything. I just like playing the game, and I thought it'd be fun to have records of some of these games on video. So import historical players, historical underscore database ODB, and then here's where you would enter in the individual players and then the year, the season stats you want, but we're just gonna upload that um, file. Oh, thanks, Hercules. I'm glad you like the idea. All right, so we're gonna select this text file and then import it. Now there are 26 players, so if it doesn't say that it imported 26 players, that means I made a typo in one of the player IDs, which is highly likely. Well, okay, it did import 26 players. Now let's just make sure that the right 26 players, because if you make a typo in that player ID, you will pull the wrong person into the game. So let's just go to our roster. Now, because we use that FTM as the final comma delimited field, it should go right into our roster, which saves a bunch of steps in trying to grab them from the free agent pool. Oh, look at this. Look at these names. Look at these ratings. I love it. This is so cool. So yeah, let's just make a quick check here to make sure. It'll be easier for me to catch mistakes if I sort it by position. Yeah, looks like we got everybody. Ah, so cool. Okay, now we'll be more deliberate about this when we actually run it. But since this is just a test run to make sure things are working, I'm going to let the AI set the. Oh, Gibson did not import stats. Let me go back. Huh. I wonder if that's an issue with all. It's because Bill Foster's like that too. I wonder if it's an issue with the Negro League data. Like, is there a different player ID? Yeah, Nolan, thanks for catching that. Well, then Jackie's got only 1/2 star overall rating, but he does have a potential rating. So let me check him out here. Hey, Nolan, have you seen this before? Like, do you know what's causing it? Because all the other players, I mean, regardless of years, like Russ Ford was from 1910. It looks like he imported just fine. It looks like it's an issue with the Negro League players. I mean, the game does have Negro League stats now, right? Oh, you've never imported players. You just learned about watching me. Oh, well, I'm glad I was able to teach you something I'm sad that I can't rely on your greater knowledge to help me here. um, I wonder if it's an issue with Negro League stats. I thought their full stats were in the game now, though. Man, that would be a bummer if we had to go back and re. I mean, from an execution standpoint, it's easy to replace the Negro League players in the roster, but I was really looking forward to playing with them. Because it's very specific to those players. Everyone else has overall ratings that you would kind of expect for their rookie year, um, except for those Negro League players. So it looks like Satchel Paige, for example, here has the right potential numbers, but it did not import the right. All right, let me test something out because Jackie's an easy one to test with because um no, I don't think you're on when I was going over this, but you can edit them yourself. Fill, yeah, I could, but then I would have to do that every time. Um, so Jackie's a good example where he won the Rookie of the Year in the majors in '47, but according to Baseball Reference, he hit his rookie limits in '45 with the Kansas City Monarchs. So I wanted to kind of be true to his what was actually his rookie season according to to the rookie limits and use his 45 stats. So I'm going to change this real quick to 47 because I know his Dodger stats are in the game. So let me change his year to 47 and save it. Okay, so right here, Robin JA02, that's Jackie Robinson. I just changed his year to 47. Man, well, thanks for catching that. I would have gone a bunch of more steps before realizing it and then would have to go back and redo this anyway. So I'm going to clear out the roster again. And because I have injuries turned off, we don't need a reserve roster. We're just going to run with these 26 players and they won't get hurt. Okay, so roster's clear. Let me go back. I want to re-import with now with Jackie's stats pointing to 47, and I think it should be fine, which would then mean either the Negro League stats aren't in here or I'm trying to pull them the wrong way. So free agent pool. Oh, sorry. I keep forgetting to put the game on. Back to the free agent pool, import historical. The file's been updated, so I can just go to the updated file. I mean, they have all the Dutch honkball season stats now. I, I can't imagine they'd have honkball stats, but not Negro League stats. Okay, imported. Let's go check our roster again. And let's look for Jackie. Yeah, now Jackie's got his major league stats. So, you know. All right. So I'm glad we did this experiment because I think one thing I have to do is maybe reach out to the forums and find out maybe it's a different um, player ID I need to use because I did notice the player IDs are different. Like if you look at Josh Gibson, so for everyone else, if you're the first person with that 5 letters of your last name, first 2 letters of your first name, you are O1. And if someone's already had that combination, you are O2, and so on. But for Josh Gibson, I noticed he is a 99. Um, and then I think that's true for, let's see if, oops. I think if I add some rows to this notebook notepad file, I can scroll this up. Yeah. So who else? Bill Foster, right? Bill Foster's at the bottom of the list here. Bill Foster is a 99. Um, so I wonder if that's the problem. Yeah, yeah, Nolan, that's exactly what I was thinking. Maybe I need to go try this as an 01. Although then it might pull some like John Gibson. Um, but I mean, let's try it. And let's, you know what? Let's return Jackie to 1945. And oh, but Jackie was already an 02. Hmm. All right, we're gonna try it anyway. Let's see what the let's do the same with Bill Foster. I'm gonna change him to an 01. Satchel Paige is an 01 too, though, so I don't know what to do there. But let's try this out. So I'm saving that file. Hey, D Block, we are experimenting with pulling this roster of all-time rookie players in, and we realized a hiccup. Nolan noticed that I was zipping through this that some of the players didn't pull stats. And as we looked at it, it's all the Negro League players. So we're wondering if there's an issue with how I'm referencing player IDs and years for Negro League players. Um, so let's go to the roster, clear it out again, and now we're going to try Josh Gibson and Bill Foster 01. So delete players, go back to the free agent pool, import historical players. I've updated and saved this file so we can just pull it. And I wonder, is this a Nicolino or is this a Spore question? Who do I ask to find this out? I mean, I'm going to ask in the forum, so I guess it doesn't matter, but I don't know who's the keeper of this knowledge on the OOTP side. All right, so let's see. Oh, this time it didn't pull Josh Gibson at all. So that's interesting. Bill Foster is missing too. Yeah. Yeah, they're completely missing now. Okay, well, I think this is a good question for the forums. Hopefully someone in OOTP will know the answer and can address it. Oh, okay. So since the new so D Block's letting us know they only have license for MLBPA stats. NAL stats do not fall under that. It'll be next year since they included them since last week. Okay. I yeah, so D Block, I made a false assumption. I thought because we had stats in the game for like all those European leagues, like I know like the Dutch league is in there now. I had incorrectly assumed that Negro League stats were in there too. Okay, so one thing we'll have to do then is at least until OTP 26, this will have to be a non-Negro League all-time rookie roster, um, which is a bummer. But I mean, it's good to know it's coming. Yet another. Wait, the Dutch League doesn't have. I saw someone doing a Dutch League sim. In fact, I was watching and I got excited because I didn't know we had the Dutch League, and my buddy from Seattle pitched in the Dutch League, and he's in the game. The streamer pulled up his profile for me so I can screenshot it and send it to him. Hey, you're streaming. Your computer version of you is pitching on this Twitch stream. So it's in the game. I'm D Block. I'm pretty sure it's in the game because I watched it on stream and my friend was in there. Um, in fact, I didn't they make a big deal about they had like a bunch of these in the game now. I thought that was like one of the things besides the Hall of Fame stuff that they were promoting. Okay, so here's what we'll do. We have a 24 person roster. I am gonna just push through and do a sim just because I want to see like what else happens. My hypothesis is that the fatigue is going to be a big problem because we have so many one position players. You did a Dutch league for Tsugi, but the historical stats were not there. Okay, interesting. And Gumbercules says they need to get the Aussie leagues back in the game. Is that where you are, Gumbercules? Are you in Australia? All right. Well, great catch by Nolan, who first noticed they weren't in there. Yeah, you are. Okay, great. Well, so then this time my streaming time actually works for you. There are so few people who are up when I'm streaming. I guess for Australia, it's a good time slot. Um, but yeah, Nolan, thanks for catching that. It's a I'll just have to go back and tweak the roster, and then straight after work, awesome. And then I'm just gonna make note of those players because in Australia and Asia, right? Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm like those bands who say they're huge in Japan. I'm sure my stream is huge in Japan right now. Um, we'll just have to put Bill Foster um, and the Kansas City Monarchs, Jackie and Josh Gibson in our back pocket. It's really a bummer too, though, because if you look at the Josh Gibson in particular, I mean, this stat line is insane. His rookie stat line is so good. Um, 395, 442, 744 slash line, and then led the league in everything: hits, triples, home runs, RBI, on base percentage, slugging, OPS, OPS plus, total bases. I mean, what a shame to lose that from our roster, just from the fun we would have watching him play. But we'll save it for OTP 26. With Jackie, we get to keep him, but we'll just revert back to the 1947 stats. I don't want to cut him completely from the team, even though, according to Baseball Reference, 45 would be his true rookie year. I think given the fact that he won the MLB Rookie of the Year in 47, I don't have a lot of problems with like letting that season play. Um, and then Bill Foster will also be a big loss. And the other thing is, once I put the roster together, I realized we only have three left-handed pitchers. So when we drop Bill Foster because his stats aren't available, we'll have to find another left-handed pitcher to take his place. I'd ultimately like to add yet another lefty, but for now, I just want to get this sim going. But this has been a very successful test drive in that we found already a few things wrong that we can fix pretty easily. So D Block, South Korea is your third biggest audience. Wait, so is it U.S., then Germany, then South Korea? Or because it's online, does it not matter that you're German and our Germans not necessarily tuning in? Or is it like US, Canada, South Korea? Excuse me. I'm guessing a lot of streamers have a decent South Korea audience, given um, but there are KBO stats, right? U.S., Canada, South Korea, Germany, UK. Yeah, interesting. All right, so especially because this is just a test drive, I'm just gonna go ahead and let the oh, let me put the game back on. I'm just gonna let the AI set up our staff. I was curious to see who they would pick too. So Gooden, Nomo, Valenzuela, Jose Fernandez, and then Rigetti. Interestingly, pulled Rigetti into the rotation. That means our bullpen is all righties. So we do need to bring some more righties in. I don't know that I've enabled Shohei to be two-way player, so let me make sure I do that. Yep, uses two-way. Skip DH when pitching. Okay, now that I've done that, and sorry, yeah, if you don't know how to do that, you go into the player strategy page, and there's a box to check for use as a two-way player. Whether you're going to a hitter and adding them as a pitcher, or a pitcher and adding them as a hitter, it's the same box. And then skip DH pitching, he's going to be the DH. So now let me see if that changes how they do the staff. Nope. Okay. Devin Williams closing, which doesn't surprise me given his sick 0.33 ERA, 0.63 whip. Um, and Which Satchel Paige? So, okay, yeah. This is a very unrepresentative Satchel Paige. I was wondering who was pulling because that's why he's in his long relief, avoid high leverage. Why is Mark Fidrich in there though? I mean, these are his actual. I mean, assuming these are his 1976 stats, is he just not good enough compared to the rest of the rest of the pitchers? I mean, his stat line was pretty good, but I guess maybe when you're in this company, you become a not high leverage kind of guy. All right, and then let's see what they do with the lineups. So my Oh, interesting. I was going to do a Trout Lynn platoon, but they've gone with Trout in center field and Lynn as the DH. But while we're here, let me look up. Yeah, someone does have to be at the bottom of the rotation, Nolan. You're right. Um, Let me look up Trout, and then can I do a right click compare? Yeah, compare player. So Fred Lynn and Trout comparison. Um, so Lynn VR and Trout VR. Well, Trout is just not very splitty. Well, I get yeah, his home run. Wait, this is all potential. Where's actual? No, okay. It goes actual potential, but then the VLVR is actual, so we can look at that. Okay. Yeah, I mean a platoon kind of makes sense here. I think. Right, Fred Lynn's and gap numbers are way higher versus righties, and then Kraut's eye and well, it's interesting. Trout's eye is better versus lefties, but his home run power is better versus righties. Yeah, Lynn does look to be the better hitter. Trout is definitely faster, but I also think Trout's less splitty. So Trout makes more sense to go as the everyday. So yeah, I don't have a problem with them starting Trout. And then if Fred Lynn's in the DH spot though, I might platoon him at DH and bring someone. Let's look at batting ratings and bring someone a little stronger um, VL in to DH. So maybe like so Pete Alonso's on the bench right now. Maybe I bring Pete Alonso in as the DH VL. But I'm not going to touch the lineups too much because I mean I'm going to do that a lot once we get to the final version of the roster. But I just kind of want to see who the AI decides to play, and then run it. Uh, um, I have Lynn here versus righties, and then I have. Oh, you're saying check Lynn's stats? Yeah, Fred Lynn crushes righties, so I want him VR. His home runs or his powers down, gap powers down. I mean, it's not down a ton, but it is down. So I think if I can find someone who's stronger VL, I don't mind platooning them. No, no problem, Nolan. No, I I some I sometimes get confused like where the way they place VL and VR. Um, so yeah, it's an easy thing to mix up. So while we're here, let me check out Alonso versus lefties, and let me just make sure that platoon makes sense. Yeah, and Alonso is stronger versus lefties. It's funny though. I bet if I pull up Alonso versus Fred Lynn, Lynn versus lefties might still be better than Alonso versus lefties. Let's do a compare player. Fred Lynn and Pete Alonso. So versus lefties. Okay. Alonso's got more power versus lefties, better eye versus lefties. I think what's throwing me off is Lynn has better contact versus lefties, but it's because Pete Alonso's just got poor contact. I mean, he had 260 average that year, so that kind of checks. Wait, OOTP 24 World Series and Diamond is still running. Yeah, I noticed I was watching D Block, I was watching Cavicom stream this morning, and he said that he had no teams in OOTP 25 playoffs. In the OOTP 24 playoffs, the clock just kept reaching zero and recycling without actually running. And so he ended up not streaming because like he had no teams that he could actually stream. I didn't realize though it was still going on. I I imagine OTP 24 gets the short end of the stick though, and I don't know if anyone's jumping in to resolve that real quickly. Yeah, so I think the Alonso Fredlin platoon at DH makes sense. Oh, that reminds me. I wonder what Fredlin's defense looks like that he's relegated to DHing. Yeah, for a center fielder, range 60 isn't great, so that kind of makes sense. What's Trout's range that year? Well, it's not like it's that much more, 65 in a much worse arm. But I mean, I guess 5 points of range still 5 points of range. All right, so let's just sim a season real quick. I just want to see what happens to the even just simming the first month. I think there's gonna be a lot of fatigue showing up here because there's too many one position players. And let me check that assumption is true though. Like Jackie only played first base according to Baseball Reference. Well, they have him. Because this is now his 40. Yeah, in 47, I thought Baseball Reference said that he only played first base. Maybe I was looking at the wrong line. Let me pull up BREF and let's check it out. And let me share my BRF screen with you guys. Oh, it's not fine. Hold on. I gotta. Okay. Here is Jackie's BRF page. And I thought when I looked this up, his. Yeah, this says in 1947, he only played position 3, which is first base. I think it might be. Let me change the zoom a little bit so you can see what I'm looking at. So yeah, in his 47 season, it says he only played. The only position shows up is 3, which is first base. Even if it was referencing his 48, he should have second base and first base. So I'm a little confused here that when we go to the game now, it shows him as only playing second base. No, did I turn this back to 47, 40? Okay, this might be because in the file I changed it back to 45, but then it should show. Oh, and if the Needle S stats aren't in here, it won't know that it's shortstop. So I think Jackie's a bad example then because we don't know what stats it's pulling. So let's look at um like Rogers Hornsby. Let's see. When you went to D Block, when you went to bed at 2:45 a.m., you were down to score 0-2 in the is blocking something in the something 6.5 hours. Oh, you know what? I made it to the semifinals of the 6L. I wonder if I'm still in it. So Rogers Hornsby shows third base and shortstop. Oh, you were down 0-2 in the divisional series. Oh, in your league playoffs. So then what happened when you woke up? I got knocked out of the 6L, but when did I get knocked out? Oh, Diamond, yeah, so Diamond Divisional Series. You're in this. Wait, are you talking about when you went to bed at 2-5, you were down to score 0-2 in the Divisional Series? Is this in PT 25 or 24? Oh, I got knocked out of the quarterfinals by who's Mid Atlantic? JD 8865. Packs only teams 24. Oh, okay. So it did fire though? Like the OOTP 24 playoffs did eventually fire? It must have if you were made it to the divisional series. Let me look at a few other players because maybe it has more positions than I was expecting. So like Dick Allen is just third base. Pujols I know played multiple positions. I'm not worried about him. Um, oh, like Ted Williams, I was surprised in BREF he only played right field in his rookie season, but here they have him in right and left. Okay, so maybe it won't be as bad as I thought. The fatigue thing might not be as bad as an issue. And D Block, you say the World Series of the League is still going on. They're in Game 4 now. but what is this, like 12 hours in? All right, so did Nomar play multiple positions? No, just shortstop. I think the infield's going to be tough. Yeah, oh, yeah, 12 hours. So it's going, but there's clearly something wrong, right? 15 hours. So Ryan Braun. Okay. I mean, maybe the 15 will be. I think middle infielders are going to suffer in this, but we'll see what happens. Let's go to the standings page. There we are with our logo. Yes, the server seems to be messed up. Yeah. I mean, when did it finally even fire? Because by the time Cavill went offline, it still hadn't started. Like the clock just kept resetting and without firing. All right, let's do a month of this and see what happens. By the way, given this roster, missing a couple of players, Jackie Robinson's stats a little messed up. Any predictions on our win total? I'm going to run it all the way through the season. I'm going to go a month at a time, but I'll do the whole season. I'm thinking like 105, 105 to 110. I mean, it's still a stud roster, missing, but it's tough to go through the whole season missing three spots. Maybe I'll say 100 to 105, given they were missing some players. D-Lock, maybe too many players or people are playing 24 because they hate Combinator 25. You know what? All I've done is I've stopped really caring about um anything but draft tournaments and live tournaments. I still enter my teams in. I'm still trying to add some combinators, but I feel so far behind and it just seems like a lost cause. Um so I'm just slamming live tournaments and yeah, yeah, it is sad. I think it's very sad. And I'm someone who started in December, so at least I had some like goodwill built up and momentum keeping me in the game. I it makes me sad to think about like new players coming in and feeling like like bronze and iron were the entry points for me. I got to play them because I could afford all the cards, and so I could play without feeling left out. I mean, I can't imagine as a new player you come in and you run in one of those all commoner teams, and it's just like even for me, the tournaments are no longer like can I out roster build and out manage people. It's just how far before I run into a combinator team is the primary driver of like how well I do. And so I still have a bunch of like 9 through 16 and 5 through 8 finishes. But when I look at them, it's always like that's how far I was able to go before I ran into a combinator team. So yeah, it's a bummer. Um, but I still play the draft tournaments and they're still fun. I still do well in the live tournaments and they're still fun. And the whole reason I'm now streaming base game is because like I've started playing base game again because I was so discouraged by the tournaments. Um, but I'm having fun doing base game again though, so that's cool. All right, so any predictions? D Block, you might be the only one still left on here, but do you want to guess how many wins we get with this roster, knowing that we're a couple players down? I still think it's a 100 win roster. All right, I'm going to start the first month. You'll 112. Ooh, that's a pretty high prediction. All right, you're a little more optimistic than me, but let's do it. Let's do the first month. This is also a test to see if like changing the name of the team and everything in the logo doesn't break the schedule. If it breaks the schedule, we'll just remain 0-0. Also, we would have found out sooner because it forces you to say, do you want to regenerate a schedule because it detected a change in the structure? And we didn't get that message, so I think we're okay. This is all the typical pre-season setup stuff. Oh, you know what? I forgot to do a few things. I have to turn Do Not Disturb on so it doesn't stop the sim. And I forgot to turn injuries off. And I like to turn the importance of popularity and all-star voting off so our players can make the all-star game. I notice when you time travel players into a season, their national and regional popularity goes to zero. So, and it makes it impossible to make an all-star game if that's the case. All right, so those are all things I know. Because this is a test run, I didn't do that, so I just did those things. All right, we should not get interrupted now because I turned Do Not Disturb on. There we go. Ooh, D Block, your 112 is looking good. We're 12 and 1, 14 and 1, 18 and 1, 20 and 3, 24 and 4. On a roll, winning streak of 16. Rookie of the month, Hideo Nomo. Fred Lynn with a 7 consecutive on base streak, and Dwight Gooden with a 24 inning scoreless streak. Wow. Oh, Nolan, do you have a season prediction? I said 100 to 105 before the first month ran. D-Block said 112, and his number's looking good. You get the benefit of seeing the first month. You have a guess for us? You would have said 110. I like the honesty, not factoring the 24 and 5. Here's the impressive thing though. We have this stacked all-time rookie team at 24 and 5, but the unstacked Twins at 22 and 7 and the normal Tampa Bay Rays at 22 and 7. So we've got some company in the 20 plus win department in month 1. All right, let's do another month. Man, we are still playing 800 ball. My fatigue hypothesis might have been incorrect. Return to triple play, a fly ball triple play versus the Rangers. That's interesting. 8 to 4 to 3. We had a 14 game winning streak. Dave Righetti won pitcher of the month. Fred Lynn won player of the week, and a 7 game RBI streak by Nomar. All right, I'm going to take a quick look at the roster and see like what our fatigue is looking like. Yeah, this is what I was expecting as we have a lot of one position players. So Dick Allen's our third baseman. I think the only backup third baseman we have is Pujols, but I can actually easily find that by going to position ratings. Oh no, we have a lot of third basemen actually. Rudy York can play third instead of catching. Pujols, Dick Allen, Rogers Hornsby. Oh yeah, I forgot about Ryan Braun. Okay, so let's. I think our big fatigue spots then will be second base. It looks like Nomar can be eligible at second base with that 25, and Jackie is our only second baseman. So, um, yet he's not fatigued. So I'm I'm way off on this fatigue thing. Oh, and you know what? Rudy York's gonna get crushed because Josh Gibson was our other catcher. So we only have one catcher. And if you thought playing a daily draft tournament with one catcher was bad, we're playing a 162 game season with one catcher. All right. Well, our position coverage is a little better than I expected, so maybe it won't be too bad. Um, we'll look at batting stats at the end of the season. So let's just do the sim. We'll go to the All Star game and see. Let's see if I turned the effective popularity down early enough for the I think sometimes if you let the season start, it's a little too late, but we'll see. We're already in June, so let's just sim to the All Star game. Man, 800 ball continues. Yeah, imagine if we had. Yeah, Nolan, you're right. Imagine if we had missed those missing players. Win streak, 10-game win streak by Fernando Valenzuela. Another 10-game win streak by Dave Righetti. The lefties getting the work done. Fernando and Righetti, two lefties, two 10-game win streaks, and a 12-game run streak by Dick Allen. Um, yeah, Nolan, I don't know when you joined, but last time we found all those great second year players. And so instead of sophomore slump, I'm going to call that team the sophomore studs. And it'll be interesting to see, like, when we fix the rosters for the rookie team, whether the rookie team or the sophomore team has a better season. And then I thought about doing just like a 9 or 13 game series between the two and see what happens. So we are 76 and 16, staying above 800, uh, dominating not just the AL West, but all of Major League Baseball. So let's check out our mailbox and see who made the All-Star game. So we took over Oakland, so we are in the AL. So let's check out the AL fan voting results. Rudy York, leading vote for catcher. Pujols, third at first base. Oh, interesting. So the AI has shifted Pujols over to first base. Um, Second base, Jackie's not in the running there in the top three. Dick Allen's the leading vote getter at third base. Rogers Hornsby is third in votes at shortstop. Trout has been moved to left field by the AI, and he is second in votes. And the original Mike Trout. Oh yeah, I forgot. There's two Mike Trouts in the game. That's fun. The original Mike Trout is he might be the overall leading vote getter too, with 4.5 million votes. He's the leading vote getter in center field. In right field, Ted Williams is leading the votes there, and which is correct. He did play all of his games in right field his rookie season. Um, and the original Aaron Judge is second there. I don't think our Aaron Judge. He may actually not be getting a lot of playing time. So starting pitching, our Dwight Gooden is third in votes, and none of our relievers got in the top five in votes. And then let's see who got actually chosen. So Gooden was chosen, Righetti was chosen, Rudy York was in by votes, Dick Allen was in by votes, Rogers Hornsby was chosen, and Ted Williams was in by votes, and our Mike Trout was chosen. So we had a lot of representation in this All-Star game. And Alonso won the home run challenge, but is it our Alonso or the Mets Alonso? It is the Mets Alonso. So that the 2023 version of Pete Alonso won the home run challenge. All right, so let's see what happens in the All-Star game and how many of our players get in the game. So the AL wins it 4-2. Otani hit two home runs, but I don't know which Otani it is, so let's find out. Oh, I don't think our Otani got chosen, so it must be yeah, it's the Angels Otani, not the franchise time machine Otani. All right, so how did our guys do? Dick Allen went 1 for 2 with a walk. Hornsby came in a pinch hit, went 0 for 1. Ted Williams went 0 for 2 with a walk. Rudy York went 0 for 2. Which Mike Trout is this one? Our Mike Trout pinch hit and went 1 for 1 with a walk and a run. And it would have been cool if Mike Trout pinch hit for Mike Trout. And then pitching wise, Righetti started 2 hits and 2 strikeouts in a scoreless inning. Good in three strikeouts and a hit in one inning. Struck out didn't strike out the side, gave up one hit, but struck out three. And it looks like that's it for our team in there. That's cool. All right, let's go back to the standings and finish the season and then check out the stats. We'll go to the next month. Pujols was the batter of month for July. Hornsby with a 4-game home run streak, and Hornsby also with a 20-game hitting streak. All right, let's go to roster expansion day. And we hit 100 wins at 118. So it only took us 118 wins to get 100 wins. Sorry, it only took 118 games to get to 100 wins. Another double digit win streak, 10 games in August. And we are 113 and 21, and we're still on September 1st. So D Block, your prediction is looking good. All right, let's go to the end of the regular season. So we've got the top two batting average hitters, and we've got two of the leading RBI hitters. Hey, underdog 44, congratulations. All right, let's see. Mike Trout with a 16-game run streak, and Rogers Hornsby just piling up the records this season. 7-game extra base hit streak. All right, so I think when we go to the last day, there's still one more day left. So yeah, we're at 161. What was how was your World Series that got you in? Did it go to 7? Let's find out about Underdog's Diamond World Series that got him into Perfect League. Swept. Wow. Congratulations. Doubly so. Double congratulations. And then good luck staying up there. I hear it's difficult. I've only ever gotten to Diamond in 24, so I wouldn't know what Perfect League is like. So yeah, so our all-time rookie team missing 2 players because of Negro League stats not being in the game. Um, so in our test run, we won 136 games so far with 1 game left to go. Let's go ahead and sim today so we can get to the end of the regular season. Ooh, beat Warbot in the division series. Okay, Dwight Gooden won a pitching triple crown. So of course, ERA crown, pitching wins came with it. Rogers Hornsby was a batting champion. Mike Trout went 2020. We are going to the playoffs. Uh, Devin Williams with a 20-game streak without a run. Devin Williams with a 12-game shutdown streak, and Devin Williams with a 22-game save streak. And we finished 48 games ahead of the Mariners, who made the wild card. And let's see what happens in the playoffs. Let's just sim it in the tree and see what happens. Oh, you want to see stats first? Yeah, we can see stats first. I'm very curious about the stats too. All right, Nolan says wait. I wonder if he's going to say, let's run the World Series first and then see the stats. I'm not opposed to that either. Live updates are also up in 25. Oh, I'm kind of curious to see what they decided to do with um Acuna because I had heard that he might drop from perfect, but then he got hurt, so I didn't know if he would get dropped and then frozen in time, or would be frozen in time as a perfect. And I also still 100. Okay, and I also sold my Edwin Diaz, quick sold him because I figured he was going to get dropped. You meant to see the stats for the first regular for the regular season. Yeah, let's do that. I am very curious about that. Corbin Burns dropped. Yeah, Diaz dropped. I feel very good now about my quick sale. All right, so Dwight Gooden went 20 and 0, 295 strikeouts, 1.05 WHIP. I mean, up and down the. I mean, you win 136 games. Of course, you're gonna have some good pitching records, but Christy Mathewson 5 and 5. I think he has our worst win percentage. Um, Satchel Paige, because of the absent stats, has our highest ERA, so we won't count him. Yeah, you're right. Otani went 16 and 0. Yeah. Rigetti 17 and 2. Fernando 20 and 3. Look at all these 200 strikeout pitchers. Gooden 295, Nomo 283, Fernando 260, Russ Ford 210, Rigetti 226. And then Otani just missed with 194. Look at all these double digit K per nine. The highest being Devin Williams at 14.3, which is below his, I think his actual is like 17.7 or something in his real rookie season. Um, yeah, so we're actually really down three players, right? Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige, and um, Bill Foster. I mean, Satchel was still in here because he had a major league uh, stats, but not the player we were expecting. So let's check out the. Any, do you want to see anything else on the pitching side before we go to the hitters? Sonny Gray also dropped a diamond. Thanks for that update, underdog. Skeens is 79. Let's swing over to the batting stats. Oh, Bobby Witt up to perfect. Batting stats. What do you think? Did anyone hit 50 or 60 bombs this season, do you think? And we know Roger Swansea won the batting title, but what was his average? I'm going to guess it's at least 350. Batting stats one. Ooh, D block. 10, 10 Bobby Witts, 10 perfects now. Nice job. Congrats to all your live spec profits. All right, here are the batters. Wow, only Rudy York hit over 40 home runs, but we've got a bunch of players hit double digits. And Aaron Judge got a bit of the short end of the stick. He only got 338 plate appearances. I mean, someone has to sit. Oh, you're right, D Block. Perfect timing with the PTCS. Capture some of those profits and invest in some cards. So with PTCS, is a lot of that going to go to combinator food versus um, player cards? Yeah, Ichiro had to sit. I'm a little bummed about that too. I still haven't been able to figure out, and maybe someone in chat knows this. When I set the lineups, in the game settings, I have it set so that it's the human manager setting the lineups, but the AI keeps changing it during the season. So I'm just wondering if there's a way to keep it. Um, where is that screen? Um, does anyone remember where that screen is? Where it shows all the decisions, and you can toggle between human and AI. I thought it was under stats and AI, but or maybe it's under manager options. Oh yeah. Okay, so I do have it as the manager making all the lineup changes. So we set the lineups. It's set here so that the human manager. Oh, I do think there's a thing where when you put it on do not disturb mode, it it switches to the AI maybe. Oh, do not disturb. If you enable do not disturb, the AI will handle your team and you will not be interrupted during autoplay. The AI will ignore trade offers but make necessary transactions like signing free agents or making draft picks. It will also set the lineup slash depth chart slash pitching staff and handles minor league transactions. Okay. So that's a bummer though, because if I turn off do not disturb so that the AI doesn't change my lineups, then I have to put up with all these interruptions for like trade requests and stuff. I don't know how to reconcile those two. Sim's going to take forever if I have to keep stopping every time there's like something that, quote, needs my attention, unquote. So if anyone has suggestions there, I'm all ears. Because, yeah, like, I was having this problem with the 86 Mets where it kept undoing the platoons that I set up to be more true to the actual Mets lineups. And also, it kept subbing Kevin Mitchell for Rafael Santana, which I totally understand, but it's not accurate. So, um, it, I, I forgot this. When you turn on the Do Not Disturb, it puts the AI back in charge. So I would like to find a way to put the Do Not Disturb on without the AI being in charge. Okay, so I think Nolan, are there any more stats you want to check out before we run the playoffs? I mean, I could look at these things all day. Like they're made up stats from a game for a made up roster, but I will still look at these all day and think how cool they are. Mike Trout with 10 triples too. Stolen bases, Trout with 46. Because Ichiro is bench, we don't have a ton of stolen bases, but pitching dominated, yeah, for sure. Although to be fair, let's see, one, two, three, four, five players with 6 players with 30 home runs and a few with 20 some, so a lot of power too. Live update, perfect points, gave underdog enough points to add Jackie Robinson. Congratulations. Oh, look at these RBI totals too. One, two, three, four, five, 6 players with 100 RBI. And then let me see what. Oh yeah, what was Roger Hornsby's? Oh, I mean, he only hit 327, but led the league. All right, let's run the postseason. I like to do it in the tree, but let's let's go to the next round. Okay, so the Mariners won their wild card game, so we will be facing them. And the Mets? The Mets! What is going on there? The Mets. The Mets with Jeff McNeil leading in batting average at 259. It must be a pitching led team. I don't understand this. Verlander had 15 wins, and then Peterson and Scherzer were next with 8, and they're still a wild card team? What is happening here? Look at all these single digit wins, yet they made the playoffs. What's happening with their line? Sorry, I'm a Mets fan, so I just kind of have to see what the heck happened here. That Alonso hit 48 bombs but hit 212. I mean, who led in OPS? Let's sort by OPS. Vogelbach had a good season, it looks like. No, but he only had 250 plate appearances. Lindor 792, but he only hit 257. Yeah, I don't know what this team is doing. Like how they made the wall card. I mean, the wall card itself, it's coin flip, right? So, but yeah, the Mets advanced to the division series. All right, let's sim the next round. We swept. The Yankees swept the Twins. Oh, we get a chance to beat the Yankees in the ALCS. Oh, I like that. The Dodgers squeaked past the Mets 3-2. The Cubs swept the Phillies. So yeah, 3 of the 4 division series were sweeps. All right, let's see how we do. Underdog says maybe it says something that with the server issues, I left my team alone and finally advanced to perfect with a 5-man playoff rotation. Yeah, I made a mistake where I wasn't paying enough attention, and um, in Twipped, the Saturday Showdown, I was playing against. So I had a buy, but I forgot, I guess, that like a buy basically just means I'm playing against a team of Gym unknowns, but it's still playing the game. And so instead of moving my rotation around to save my ace, like it used up my number one starter on the buy game. I still it's still the first time I made it past the first round in Twipped, and I actually made it like into the 4th or 5th round. So I was very happy, but I was still annoyed that I forgot to do that with my pitching staff. All right, let's sim the league championship series. Oh, by the way, I really like putting teams in Twift because I like when DishNet like reads out the team name. So like next week, I'm going to make sure I enter my Low Diamond Phillips team so that he has to say Low Diamond Phillips. Okay, let's do the league championship series. Ooh, the Yankees won a game against us. 2 games against us, but we made it. All right. 4 games to 2 over the Yankees. The Dodgers win 4 games to 1 against the Cubs. And so it's our all time rookies against the 2023 LA Dodgers. I kind of want to go a game at a time now. I mean, I know this is our test drive, but still, it's still a sim. So I still want to kind of see how it goes. All right. Game one is, oh, the irony. Fernando starting game one against the Dodgers. And we win 8-2. Although Fernando did get touched for 2 runs in the first. But we put up a picket fence there from the fifth to the eighth, scoring a run per inning. So, and Fernando gets player of the game against the Dodgers. I like it. Ted Williams 1 for 2 with a double, 3 runs, and 3 walks. Nomar 2 for 4 with a triple and a home run. And Fernando, he only went 5 2/3, gave up 4 hits and two earned, 2 walks, and struck out 9 in 5 2/3. All right, let's all right, game two is Clayton Kershaw against 1984 Dwight Gooden. 20-0 Dwight Gooden. Although he's only only 1-1 in the playoffs. And we win again 3-2. Gooden gets the win, and Williams shuts it down for the save. All right, game three in LA. We've got Nomo, again, a former Dodger pitching against the Dodgers. Ooh, and we take the L 16-5. Wow. Did Nomo get rocked? Let's take a quick look. 16 runs on 14 hits and 7 walks. Nomo took the loss. He gave up 7 earned in 3 2/3. Fernandez also got rocked 2/3, gave up 6 earned. And well, we can't count the satchel because this isn't real satchel stats, but he also got rocked. All right. 2 games to 1. This time we're sending Otani, a current Dodger, up against the Dodgers. And we win 9-2, scattering 10 hits. All right, so we're up 3 games to 2. Oh, 3 games to 1. 3 games to 1. Let's see. Otani went 5 1/3, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 6K. Lorenzen didn't pitch bad for the Dodgers. 5 innings, 5 hits, 2 earned, 2 walks. And Dick Allen 2 for 5 with a double and a home run, 4 RBI. Yeah, the mod. I let your message go through, but I didn't realize it was holding it for a second there. But it did not like the word screw. You're right. All right, so 3 games to 1. Last game in LA. Fernando again versus Bobby Miller. Ooh, it would be nice if Fernando won the clinching game against the Dodgers. And we are champions. 8-4. Fernando gets the win. Player of the game is Albert Pujols. And we win despite Mookie hitting a home run. All right, let's check out the postseason award situation. I'm not going to screenshot this because it's the test run, but I usually grab screenshots of all this stuff as we wrap up a sim. Ooh, season score of 1656. That's the highest season score I've seen in any of our sims. Too bad it doesn't officially count for our simulations, but that is a fun score there. All right, so I usually do this from the mailbox screen. Oh, you know what? It might not give me the. I'm going to turn on a lot of the mail so that I make sure we get the postseason awards. Okay. All right, Great Glove Awards. Oh, Albert Pujols wins a Great Glove at first base. Okay, here's a problem I've had with these sims. I When I bring the players in, a lot of them have no service time. So like when I do the 86 Mets traveling back to the 60s to replace Mets teams, it treats Len Dykstra as a rookie with no service time, even though that's not correct. And so I just happened to notice this email, the top 100 prospects. A bunch of our players are on here as prospects. I'm assuming because it shows. But it is an all rookie team. But they should still have. Shouldn't they have enough service time by now that they would not be prospect eligible? Yeah. So Gooden just pitched the whole season. Oh yeah. Okay. I guess maybe he could still be. I guess he could still be prospect eligible. Okay. I take back that objection. I think that whole experience with Glenn Dykstra and Roger McDowell being categorized as rookies with no um, major league experience is coloring my view. All right, so yeah, post. Let's go back to postseason awards. Okay, so the next, oh yeah, Great Glove Awards. All right, let's go to the next award, Reliever of the Year. Wait, I guess we do have Devin Williams in contention for this. Oh, interesting. I didn't, when we looked at the stats, I did not realize that Russ Ford was actually pitching out of the bullpen. So he won 21 first place votes for reliever of the year, 13-3 with 8 saves out of the pen. Interesting. All right. And then Platinum Stick Wars. I'm thinking we'll win a bunch of these. Oh, just Rudy York and Ted Williams. Oh no, we won more than that. The awards thing was the achievements thing was misleading. Rudy York won. Albert Pujols at first base. Roger Hornsby at shortstop. Mike Trout in left field. Ted Williams in right. So one, two, three, four, five Silver Slugger awards, or sorry, Platinum Stick awards. Five. All right, let me clear out these messages so it's easier to find them. All right, the next awards will be the Rookie of the Year. And in our team of rookies, Ted Williams wins the Rookie of the Year award. In a clean sweep of the top five, Ted Williams in first with 26 first place votes, Roger Hornsby, Dwight Gooden, Rudy York, and Dick Allen. All right. And then we'll skip ahead to Manager of the Year. Oh, thank you, thank you. I'd like to thank all the voters. My face turned to surprise as the club's owner made the hasty announcement. Wow, how lucky can a guy be? Manager manage a great bunch of guys, have great fans, have a great season, and now this. Life doesn't get any better than this. All right. And Cy Young Award. It's got to go to 20 Dwight Gooden, right? I think earlier it said that he won the pitching triple crown. So, yep, unanimous win, 30 first place votes, 20-0. And MVP. I forgot that unchecked pitchers can't win it, so Gooden might win this too. But oh, interesting. The Angels' actual Shohei Ohtani wins the MVP. 25 first place votes. The other five went to Ted Williams. The real Shohei went 292 with 51 bombs and 124 RBI. And I'm sure some pitching to go with it. So let's check out his stats. Batting stats. Led the league in home runs and triples. And a 640 slugging percentage to lead the league. And then pitching stats. 12 and 11, 3.88 ERA, 128 whip, 11.2 strikeouts per nine. Yep, two-way player like that, it's tough to beat, especially because our Shohei. What did our Shohei do? Uh oh, I guess because he was in the bullpen. Did our Shohei not bat at all? Yeah, because he's coming out of the pen. I guess he didn't get to bat at all. That's a waste. Um, hmm. And yeah, we did not force start him at DH. So yeah, he did not get any at bats. So yeah, our Shohei did not have an MVP chance against the real Shohei. All right, and then I usually just like to do a quick spin to the league leaders and stats. And I always undo the combined league and just look at our league, which is the American League. So real Shohei led in home runs. We had three of the top five in batting average. Um, Garcia led in RBI, but we had three of the top five. So Ted Williams and Mike Trout 1 and 2 in on base percentage. The real Shohei won in slugging percentage. Yeah, D Block says the AI only lets you bat as a starter. So yeah. So if he's in the pen, even if I had tried to put him in DH, would the AI have taken him out before the game started? Hornsey led the league with 195 hits. That's interesting that he led the league with only 100. Are the days of 200 hits kind of gone by the wayside? Um, and then let's look at the pitching leaders. Gooden with the triple crown. Wow, Kevin Gausman of the Blue Jays, 22 losses. Let's see. No, if you do put him in as DH, then he would not pitch as. Oh, so you kind of have to pick, which I guess makes sense from a lineup perspective. So he's either DHing and not pitching, or pitching out of the pen and not DHing, which I guess is a good argument for starting him then, so that he can pitch and hit. But I mean, with the lineups and the pitchers we have, it wasn't really necessary. Top three in strikeouts: 295 from Gooden, 283 from Nomo, 260 from Fernando. Yeah, this is gonna be a fun sim to do. I'm gonna fix our roster issue. Unfortunately, we won't be able to play with Negro League players during OTP 25, but I'll try to find some fun players from the short lists. I've got the last cuts, so I can put those folks back in and finish the roster. And then now that I know this sim works and that text file works, I think the next time I stream, I'm either going to be doing the 1986 Mets replace the 1969 Mets, because that's where I'm up to in that sim, or it'll be the full version of this rookie team, um, doing a 2023 sim. And I don't think I need to tinker with the positions because it seemed like um, it worked okay. Oh, check my Discord. Oh, yeah, in case I didn't mention it, I created a Discord and I put this roster as kind of my first post. Um, so I thought, as we do more of these, rather than just sharing ideas for rosters on the during the stream, that you guys can chime in on the Discord too. Yeah, maybe get a second catcher. Well, I mean, the Josh Gibson thing was unavoidable, and this was just a test drive. So yes, I will definitely be getting a second catcher. Um, I think before I added Josh Gibson, that the last cut at catcher was Mike Piazza. So, um, well, I'll just bring him back in. Um, all right, let's see. Nolan said to check my Discord, so I'm checking my Discord. Did you post somewhere? I'm trying to see where you might have posted. Oh, we need to get. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, so you did send me a message. Um, oh, yeah. Okay, I'm gonna accept. So, can I? How do I do this? Do I invite you guys to the Discord here, like in Twitch? How would I do that? I can post the link. Okay, let me find the link. I'm looking under invite your friends. Oh yeah, here's a link. I'm copying the link and I'm posting the link. Thank you, Nolan. So nice having experienced the Philly and the D block in here to help figure this out. I'm starting to do that lucky thing again. I haven't done it yet. First before every. Anyway, can you guys even still hear me, or is it starting to get all choppy again like last time? I just need to get the and it's not letting me do it. Can't understand a word. Okay, all right. Well, I can't type in the chat either since my system's not cooperating. Okay, yeah, and now I have a black screen. So, all right, I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Thanks for joining. I hope you had fun. And I will look forward to doing this again with the full roster and replacing those Negro League players for now, and then we'll bring them back in OOTP 26 when their stats are officially part of the Major League set. All right, thanks everybody. If it will let me, I'm going to try to raid somewhere, but all I see is a black screen now when I. Oh, wait, it's coming back. Will it let me? Because I would love to get you guys this Discord invitation because um, I'd love to hear thoughts and get your thoughts on this second year player squad too. I think there's a chance, given some of the names on there, that that team might even be more fun than this rookie team. Okay, and let me paste it in, and now, but now it's not letting me hit enter. All right, let me know. Oh, there he goes. So I think that's the link in Discord. When I went to share your server invitation, that's what it gave me. So, all right. Well, thanks again, everybody, for joining in. Hope you had fun, and we'll do this again. A full roster, and let me see. Does anyone know if anyone's streaming OTP right now? Actually, you know what? It's so frozen I can't even type it in. So I'm just going to end the stream here, guys. All right. Have a good night. D Block, have a good morning. Yeah, and yes, and I'm second guessing that now. Oh, wait. It's letting me search. Let me search out of the park baseball 25 and see if we can raid someone to playing the game. No, I'm the last one. Okay. All right. Well, we'll just end the stream then. All right. Have a good night, everybody. D Block, have a good morning. I'll see you on your stream pretty soon, I guess.